How is your energy level? I know that for the majority of you, this is not the first presentation that you are watching today. And although all of them have been extremely interesting, let's be honest, it's not easy to stay focused for so many hours. And as a matter of fact, 4 out of 5 professionals admit that their attention shifted away from the speaker in the most recent presentation they attended. This obviously isn't good news for me since I'm the presenter right now, but I promise you that if you stay with me for the next 20 minutes, I will make it worth of your time. Okay, we know that we are having trouble keeping attention for an extended period of time. But then how on earth, on average, each of us can spend 71 minutes a day watching Netflix? And this number is from last year, so it's before the pandemic. I'm sure that it has actually doubled in this recent 6 months. Keeping attention while binge watching Emily in Paris, Stranger Things, Orange is the New Black, or whatever you are watching on Netflix apparently isn't a problem, and we can do it somehow. Why? So, what's the magic trick of Netflix? Netflix inspires binge watchers via great stories told visually. And during the next 20 minutes, I will show you how you can apply a similar approach to your Instagram ads. And this should help you get your audience's complete attention instead of having them scroll to the next post on their feed or skip to the next Instagram story. But before we move to the specific tactics, let me tell you a personal story. At the end of the day, this is the Business Storyteller Summit, and it's all about storytelling. So I recently became a mom, and on the picture here, you can see me with my son Ludwig. And fresh parents in the audience know what being a new mom or a new dad means. Sleepless nights, lots of bed hair days, and an influx of baby-related ads on your Instagram. And in fact, the baby sling, which you can see on the picture, was discovered and bought via an Instagram ad. What's the story? So I really wanted to find a good solution for carrying my baby around. I couldn't decide between a sling or a baby carrier. So I started doing some online research and obviously ended up leaving some cookies behind me. After a bit, this is how my Instagram feed and stories looked like. Yeah, a lot of baby pictures. So what we started with 1 or 3 website visits and 1 Instagram like resulted in a perfect profiling of my ad interests. Baby sling, baby wearing, and a bohemian style, which I'm really into. And using this information, Studio Romeo, a company I actually never heard of before, started showing me their ads. And guess what? Their ads and the way they told the story behind their product and their company convinced me, and I ended up buying their baby sling. It all started with just a website visit, and it ended with a purchase. And why this example shows that Studio Romeo is not only great at targeting their ads, but also at marketing their products, the reason why I wanted to share it with you is because it proves that there is no better platform than Instagram to tell visual stories that sell. And I'm gonna prove it in a bit, but let's first talk about what is actually visual storytelling. Visual storytelling uses visual communication to craft a narrative that explains a concept and evokes an emotional response. And it can be really powerful. Why? Because our brains are incredible at remembering pictures. When we hear information, we are likely to remember roughly 10% of that information in 3 days. However, if a relevant image is paired with the same information, we retain around 65% of the information 3 days later. Pictures beat text. Our brain sees words as a lot of tiny pictures, and we have to identify certain features or patterns in the letters to be able to read them. And that obviously takes time, but in comparison, we only need 13 milliseconds to process the entire image our eyes see. And on top of that, according to the research at Michigan State University, visual cortex controls more than just interpreting images. It has decision-making power. Combine that with the release of a trust hormone called oxytocin, which gets triggered when we hear stories. You get trust plus decisions. What more can a marketer wish for? And to prove you how powerful it can be, I would like to bring up my favorite visual story example. And believe it or not, it's about something as trivial as popcorn. In 1994, the Center for Science and in the Public Interest was assigned with a task to educate their public about the unhealthiness of the movie theater popcorn. Back then, the majority of movie theaters were using coconut oil to pop the corn. This method was turning popcorn into a saturated fat bomb. CSPI knew that the typical bag of a movie popcorn had 37 grams of saturated fat, while the USDA recommends you have no more than 20 grams in an entire day. The challenge was that the most of people didn't know what 37 grams of saturated fat meant. Is it very bad, like for example cigarettes, or is it normal bad, like let's say bag of cookies? They needed to shape the message in a way that would make it easier to process the concept of saturated fat and that would resonate with an average American. Silverman, who was working at CSPI back then, came up with the following idea. A medium-sized butter popcorn at a typical neighborhood movie theater contains more artery-clogging fat than a bacon and eggs breakfast, a Big Mac and fries for lunch, and a steak dinner with all the trimmings combined. The idea was accompanied with visual images and broadcasted at the movie theaters during the commercial slot. The effect? The sales of movie theater popcorn went down by 50% post the CSPI campaign. Movie theaters were forced to replace hydrogenated coconut oil with healthier alternatives. And in this popcorn example, we see that visual storytelling can lead to decreased sales, but it can have a similar effect on increasing your revenue. Why? So let's summarize what we just learned about visual storytelling. It captures your audience's attention. It ensures your message resonates with them. It makes it easier to process difficult concepts. It helps you to connect on a deeper level with your audience, and it improves your chances to sell. And what makes Instagram perfect as the platform for telling visual stories is that it's highly visual. Instagram is founded on appealing images and videos, and we already know that this resonates with people more than text. On Instagram, ads not only get seen, but they also tend to stick in people's minds. Instagram ads have 3 times higher recall rate compared to other popular social media sites. It also has the most engaged number of individuals among all social media platforms. And on top of that, the platform is optimized for the current age of information overload. The average global consumer spends 82 hours per week consuming information. That's 69% of our wake time. And as a result, even a 30 seconds video ends up feeling too much to us. Short and crisp nature of Instagram stories makes them easier to consume. And last but not least, Instagram provides credibility through influencers which customers trust more than they trust brands. So, how can you turn your Instagram ad into a great visual story that will end up selling your product? To help you do that, I have created an easy to memorize ad formula called cuteness. And if you feel you might forget the name, all it takes is to think about this cute picture of a dog wearing a banana outfit and remind yourself about the name. And cuteness stands for credible, unexpected, targeted, emotional, native looking, engaging, and simple story. I have compiled examples of some of the greatest, in my personal opinion, greatest Instagram ads to show you what which of the elements of the formula means in practice. So let's deep dive and start with credible. People will believe and relate to your story as long as you manage to make it credible and authentic through testimonials or personal experiences of people who are widely known and trusted by the audience. And in the first example, the one on the left here, you can see an ad from Spring Up. It's a simple picture of shoes with a powerful testimonial from a well-known and established media outlet, Vogue. It says, "This app will change the way you shop forever." It's a simple sentence, but really powerful because this is something that Vogue said about the app. And in the second example, the one in the middle, we have a campaign from Cigna Health Insurance who collaborated with Nick Jonas to encourage patients to be seen by a doctor for important physical and mental evaluations. This campaign has reached 40 million people and had an 8-point increase in ad recall by placing ads in Instagram feed and stories. And the example on the right is from a Polish actress that I personally follow on Instagram. She also became a mom quite recently, and she collaborated with Pampers Pure to publish her personal story where she shared her experience with using Pampers and how good the brand has been for her baby. Now moving on to the second element, unexpected. Instagram is about grabbing attention. So make sure you make your ad stand out from the crowd by making it unique. And a great example are the ads from promo.com, which use attention-grabbing video clips combined with funny headlines. I also really like the ad by a photographer, Caroline Tran. That's the one that you can see in the middle here. She used a series of stop-motion images, which she animated into a video, building a full story focused on the problem of lighting in the photography and how her course can help to overcome it. You could also simply combine a still but bright, eye-catching image with a bold statement like the company Ritual did it. The next aspect is targeted. This is something you all probably know very well about if you are working in marketing at least. And it's about thinking like your audience. Do your homework to understand who your audience is and what their interests are, just like in the case of the baby sling I told you about at the beginning of my presentation. Make sure that your audience can relate to your ad, that it fits their taste, it fits their interest. Emotional. This element is all about making people care. And it's really important here to remember that people care about other people and not about numbers or about your brand. Your goal is to tap into the emotions of your audience. When they see your ad, they should either feel inspired, uplifted, motivated, or touched. This could be done through a quote like Live They Did It on the left, the example on the left. And they put it there, never miss an opportunity to see something beautiful. Or through a story. My favorite example is the ad from Hurahelden. They offer personalized books for kids, and in their ad that you can see in the middle, they combine videos of dads who open the book for the first time and read it to their child. And the ad is extremely emotional and authentic. It's very authentic because these are actual stories of their customers using their product. And now, talking about authenticity, let's move to native looking. So how can you prevent banner blindness on Instagram and make sure that users won't scroll to the next post immediately after seeing your ad? You may need to make it look like a native Instagram post. And the more your ad looks and feels like a native content typically posted by regular Instagram users, the better it will also perform. And we can see it here on the slide, right? Like on the left is just a picture of food. Then both the other images look like very typical Instagram posts, but actually this is sponsored content. Next element is one that is especially unique to Instagram stories: engagement. Instagram stories offer you an option to engage your audience through polling stickers. And a great example of how powerful this can be is the one from Dunkin' Donuts. You can see that ad here on the right. When Instagram first released its new polling sticker feature, the Dunkin's team quickly moved to test it out in their ads. They then built a two-cell split test that consisted of running one version of the ad with the new polling sticker versus running the same ad without the polling sticker. The ad creative showed a chocolate Dunkin' donut with sprinkles and a carton of French fries against a colorful animated background. And the ad messaging asked, "What's your favorite American classic? You don't have to choose anymore. Try donut fries." The ad then showcased the new Dunkin's product, which is a mashup of Dunkin's donut in an easy-to-eat French fry shape. And the ad that featured the embedded polling sticker used the same creative as the ad without the sticker, but it also included a two-button poll directly under the messaging that viewers could click on to designate their choice of donut versus fries. And the result of the split test showed 20% lower cost per video view for ads with the polling sticker versus ads without. So it definitely saved them some money. And at the same time, they also saw 20% of people who watched the ad also voted in the poll. So they had way higher engagement when using polling functionality. Now we come to simple. It's all about not overcomplicating things. Make it easier for your audience to quickly grasp what you are trying to tell them with your ad. You could use before and after photos, like in the example on the left, catching word games, like in case of Aptiv in the middle. You can see that they use the statement that many people can relate to: "I hate cardio." And they just surprised us by adding "used to" at the top of it or bottom of it. And it's a surprising simple way to grab your attention. You could also use neat images with bold colors, which are simply they don't have to be animated, but they are just very eye-catching, like in case of the ad on the far right. And the last element is obviously the story, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to great storytelling. It helps your audience to relate to your brand and quickly grasp what are you trying to tell them. So create an interesting story to show them how your product works, how is it better from competition, and how it's made specifically for them, for the audience. And a good example is the ad from TransferWise, the one on the left. Recognizing that people don't browse Instagram stories with intentional money transfer on their minds, TransferWise built a concept around something that people do look at stories for: recipe videos. Just as the recipe videos can make cooking simple, TransferWise wanted to show how it can make international money transfer more accessible and straightforward. The internal creative team created video ads for stories showing a variety of dinner tables to demonstrate how global the TransferWise product is, and use step-by-step recipe-like instructions to show how easy the app is to use. And the results suggested that the fast and playful video ads struck the perfect tone. Stories drove for TransferWise 40% of monthly user activity, and conversion rates were between 5 to 10% higher for Instagram stories than for ads that ran in the Instagram feed. And now that we look closely at all the elements of the Instagram ad formula, all the elements of cuteness, you might be asking yourself which ad format would be best. So I put an overview showing you how each of the formats fits with every element of the formula. And as you might have already guessed, Instagram stories offer the best ad format for visual storytelling. On the top of that, Instagram stories ads are more economical than other ads running on the platform and are the only placement where demand hasn't yet outstripped supply. The number of people watching stories has generated so many ad placements that advertisers simply didn't catch up yet. That's why I would highly encourage experimenting more with this specific ad format. To summarize, let's quickly go through a winning Instagram ad checklist. Remember to match the style to your audience. Make it engaging and playful. Tell a story. Use clean, sharp, and intriguing visuals. Provoke engagement or evoke an emotion. And if you need an inspiration for creating your Instagram ad, let's say that's the first time you're doing it, I would recommend you to check out Piktochart. Piktochart provides visual inspiration in the form of ready-to-use Instagram templates for posts or stories. And all you need to do is to select one and edit it to make it your own. So you could, start experimenting immediately without having a designer or maybe think what you could try testing. Just look for inspirations there. And I'm really looking forward to see your amazing Instagram ads. I hope I'll be able to add them as well to my favorites soon. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate listening and I appreciate your time. Bye.